Hello there, I'm Bigalius, and I've got a confession to make. I'm a millennial. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to give it up. I've been trying to give it up for a while now. Maybe one day, maybe soon, I'll give up on that. But for now, I'm eating pretty good. Not in real life, but I'm eating good. Us millennials, we're getting what we wanted, because there have been a lot of 7th gen-esque games that have come out recently. Stuff like Evil Dead, and now this, of course. And now what's so great about this is, I was so annoyed when the 8th gen came around and everything kind of switched up, and I was hoping, I was thinking, like, now that the graphics are going to be so amazing, the processing is so good, we'll be able to make these beautiful, rich, narrative worlds, and we're going to have such incredible gaming experiences. And instead, we started making these big, empty, open worlds, and doing that with the processing power, and of course, you run over to something and hold X, and that's the gameplay, and that's as good as it gets. And I was annoyed about it, but we are getting games like this now, these linear-esque adventure games, and I'm super happy about it. Now, of course, this isn't a AAA game. It's it's more of a budget title, but that doesn't hold it back. It is, it's a very interesting game. They do a lot with what I assume is maybe a little. I think the biggest strength from this game is the narrative world building. Just it is a very narrative heavy game. It's a very stylized game, and it's very much a fantasy game. But the world that they build is very interesting to look at and to be a part of. It's not just straightforward stuff. Like I said, it is a pretty linear game. It's not Gears of War corridors, but you're not just given this big open world. And I think that's a good thing. I think it really uses it to its advantage. There's no way that you go in this game that isn't at least interesting to look at, and I really appreciate that about the game. Yeah, there's a lot to look at in this game. It does, however, have this. Okay, I'm going to give you a top tip right now. As soon as you get this game, if you do, go into the settings, and I appreciate this about the game. They've added a setting to turn off this stop motion thing they've got going on, and it really does affect the game, it turns out, because I switched off the stop motion effect that's on the game, and it looks way better. So that would be my advice for you. Definitely go ahead and do that. But yeah, it does have this stop motion effect on it, but it's still a great looking game. I will say, in terms of issues, again, I think this is a budgetary thing, though there are some issues that we'll get into that are creative decisions. I think one issue with this game is that it's an overall issue with the game of repetitiveness, and though I find the world really beautiful and enchanting and good to look at, and the colors are great and it's vivid, you're going to see a lot of the same thing over and over again. And the same goes for the combat. The combat, which is serviceable, despite the fact that this is very 7th gen coded, I will say it's a game made in the 2020s, so of course it has to have the From Software formula for combat. Dodge, attack, though it does have difficulty settings. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you so much for putting in difficulty settings. I don't know why so many developers are allergic to that at the moment. And yeah, you can totally play this on story mode and just appreciate the story. But yeah, I would say in terms of the combat, it's not overly complex. It is just dodge, hit, dodge, hit. There's a couple of powers and stuff you can do here, but that repetitiveness does rear its head again. Every enemy that you face pretty much looks the same. They're very interesting looking enemies with lots of bits hanging off and stuff like that, but once you've fought a few of them, you do realize that this is just the same guy over and over again, and that is definitely the case with the game. And I would say, like, this game is very married to its gameplay loop, and if you don't like the gameplay loop, then you're not going to like the game, because it is the same thing over and over again. The platforming is very platform heavy. It's going to be the same. I like the platforming. I enjoy it. There's even wall running, but I actually enjoy the wall running. I had a great time with the platforming, but if you don't, you're not going to like the game, because it doesn't deviate, doesn't change. There's not much of a variation there. And it sounds like I'm being negative on the game, and I just want to mention a couple of things. When, those were budgetary issues, and I understand that, and it didn't affect my experience. It could affect yours. whatever. In terms of creative decisions, there are a couple of things that I do take issue with. I think when it comes to like obstacles and things in your way, I don't think they do a very good job of straddling the line between finding something that's challenging but something that's like creative and fun to overcome that challenge, and I don't think they did that particularly well. There's like these spikes that you run into and it hurts you, or these fucking mushrooms that explode and it just does damage and that's it. You know, it doesn't feel fun and sort of creative and challenging to just be like, oh, there's a thing over there, it spikes, it's gonna pop out on me. I don't know, I didn't really appreciate that. You know, I didn't have a very good time with that. But aside from that, I don't want to keep being negative about this game, because everything else is great. And I think the reason I opened with, you know, the issues that I had was because there's not too much like going on here that's crazy, you know, I don't want to say not innovative, because that sounds negative too, but there's nothing going on here that's like overly worth talking about. It is just a great fun experience. They do a lot visually that I just think is fantastic. You have these boss battles, and I don't want to spoil it, but there's one that they just do these really great visual tricks with, and again, I think they're doing a lot with a little. Yeah, these really cool visual tricks with, so if you get to experience that, it's great. It is a thing to experience, and we're talking about a budget game here, but presentation wise, I think it really does, like, it hits you, you know, and there are lots of moments like that. I think they do a lot of very creative, interesting things visually, sort of as an audio-visual experience here, that I really appreciate and I really locked in with. So by the time, you know, I was done with my experience, it was like, wow, that was a really great time, a really great cinematic time. I think wearing your story on your chest and sort of being so married to the story was a very good decision, and I think they did a great job with it. I like the characters, I like what they got up to. It's very sort of metaphysical, and I appreciate that too. Almost like something like Psychonauts, which Psychonauts 2 was like, it's such a phenomenal game, but it's almost like that, you know, sort of you're very in the character's head, and I like that a lot with all of these like beautiful mythical creatures that you encounter. And there's this guy that like follows you around and will, like, because he's a giant and he'll move logs and things for you, and they do a lot of very, very cool visual stuff with that. And I think overall that's the vibe of the game, is it's just a very, very cool audio visual experience. Does it, you know, break any records? Does it do anything absolutely insane? No, of course not. Excuse me. Will it be my game of the year? Frankly, I don't think so. Doom's coming out soon. You know, I'm very excited about that. But would I recommend it? Yeah, I think it's a very good experience, and a very fun game, and I really did like it a lot. And that's my score. It would be probably like a high 7 to low 8 on the Fantano score. So I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to put an 8 on it, just purely because I remember playing those boss battles and being like, oh my god, that was so cool. And so yeah, that's my score for the game. It's a great experience. It's for everyone, you know. If you're not good at games like this, just turn the difficulty down. Don't worry about it. And I had a very good time with it. And after all, that's what matters, right? Anyway, that was the game. Oh, did I even say it's called South of Midnight? I didn't. I don't think I did. I'll see everyone later.
The PlayStation is only $149, and you can also get leading titles.